Good morning and welcome to our UBC Learning Circle, Walking Like Warriors, Introduction to Self-Defense with Alana Cook and Keanan Kellar. Today's conversation is presented in partnership with the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. We'd like to thank the First Nations Health Authority for generously funding the UBC Learning Circle and allowing us to have these conversations. Before we formally begin, I'd like to acknowledge with respect and gratitude that I'm joining you from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. Please feel free to introduce yourselves and the nation you're calling in from in the chat box. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Seraine Squawkin. I am Syilx Okanagan on my mother's side and Hickory Apache and Belgian on my father's side. I'll be the moderator for today's discussion, and joining us working behind the scenes is Cynthia, our production coordinator, and our program assistant, Kira. They'll be in the background interacting with everyone in the chat. And finally, before we get into today's discussion, I'll provide a gentle heads up that the topics covered may be sensitive or emotionally triggering. Please make sure that you're looking after yourself, and if at any point in time you need to talk to a friend, elder, counselor, or family member, don't hesitate to do so. Now I'll turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves.
Bon matin, Tanche Kiwa, Alana Kishnakashon, Liun Fim Michif Niao. So good morning, everybody. My name is Alana Cook. I'm proudly Michif Métis. We are calling to you from Haudenosaunee Anishinaabe territory. This is my partner.
Hello, guys. I'm Keanan Kellar.
Short and sweet. Good morning. We're so excited to be joining you today to do our presentation, Walking Like Warriors. So this is our first time doing this online. We're really excited. Usually it's very interactive, and I hope that all of you can follow along at home. Some of the things may seem silly or funny, but don't worry. We're all doing this together. And yeah, feel free to just pop any questions in the chat box. And yeah, Seraine, if we can take it away. So welcome to Walking Like Warriors, Self-Defense. So our beautiful logo was actually created by Evelyn Alec, who is Syilx. I kind of told her, do whatever you want with it. And she adopted a photo of the original squad, myself, Larry, and Oliver, looking all buff and looking strong right there. And then added some medicine wheel colors. So I think it's very beautiful, and we're very proud to rep this logo. So thank you again, Evelyn, for designing this for us. Perfect. So just with gratitude, respect, I acknowledge that I'm speaking today to all of you on the unceded territory of the Musqueam peoples. Personally, I'm coming to you from St. Catharines, Ontario, Haudenosaunee Anishinaabe territory. As a Michif relative from the Desjardins family of the Red River Settlement, I'm very humbled to be a speaker here, and I strive to act in a way that promotes respect, relationality, reciprocity, and reconciliation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Walking Like Warriors, about how we were created, what we're all about. So if you are comfortable in the chat box, I would love to hear, what is your name? Where are you from? And what is one thing that you would like to learn today? So we can't show everything, unfortunately, but we will do our best. So for the next little bit, I will circle back to this, but feel free to pop in the chat box, your community, your name, and something you'd like to learn today. So Walking Like Warriors. Walking Like Warriors began in 2017 when I was asked by Métis Nation BC if I would teach a self-defense course to a group of young Métis women. So they were doing a girls' summer camp, and I'd been an MMA fighter for a long time at that point. And they asked me if I'd teach something self-defense to the girls. I was really excited too, but I'd never taught an actual class before. So I asked my good friend Larry, who's in the photo right there, that's actually us at the event, if he would teach it with me. And as we were looking for resources, something I really noticed was that there was a really big gap in the self-defense industry. A lot of the things out there weren't very inclusive. They weren't really accessible, especially for smaller rural communities, and they weren't very culturally safe. So they definitely weren't designed with Indigenous communities in mind. And Walking Like Warriors was born to proudly bridge that gap, I like to say. So what is Walking Like Warriors? And there's going to be lots of photos on the side from some of our past camps, which I'm very proud of. We are an inclusive, empowering, and culturally safe self-defense workshop specifically intended for youth, women, and Two-Spirit people from Indigenous communities. So when we started, we really wanted to focus on youth and women and people that are Two-Spirit or from the queer community. However, as we've evolved, we've noticed, we've actually heard from people, they're like, you know what, like, we really want to learn self-defense too. And we realize like we have to really be open to anyone. So we are more than happy to work with all genders from both Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities, because self-defense is a human right and we want to provide that to anyone who needs it. So our workshops include high-level martial arts demonstrations, situational awareness, body language breakdowns, street safety, and practical self-defense tools that everyone should know. You will learn how to prevent conflict, protect yourself, and escape from unsafe situations using mental, verbal, and physical strategies. This course is for people of all ages, all sizes, and all athletic abilities. We are happy to work with multiple audiences, from individual lessons to large groups. To date, our team has grown to 5 members, and we've traveled across Canada to work with more than 30 different communities. We've worked with First Nations bands, Métis communities, the Friendship Center, First Nation and public schools, youth groups, sports teams, and more. And I like to say that whether you're urban, suburban, or on reserve, we would love to visit your community. No area is too remote for us. We'll always strategize about ways that we can get to you and provide that service. And meet the warriors. So this is our team. Myself, Alana Cook, the co-founder, Larry Rousey, who is also a co-founder, one of our head coaches, and then Oliver Vida, a coach, Sierra McCrae, and Keanan Kellar. So every member of the team is a martial artist in some way or another. Everyone has been training for more than 10 years, and everybody continues to train. So this isn't something where we've learned and then we've kind of left it behind. We are all actively training. We're always learning. We're always finding better ways to protect ourselves and others. And just a chance to give a little shout out. This year, we actually won 2nd place in Powwow Pitch, which is an international Indigenous business competition. There was 2,500 people who applied. I made it to the semifinals for health and wellness. Then I made it to the finals. And then out of 30 people, I was selected as the 2nd place winner. So normally I don't like 2nd place, but this was thank you everyone. Out of this was very exciting to hear. And it was able to provide us with a small grant to help us build our programming and get our website going. And finally, what makes us different from other self-defense organizations? So we're inclusive. Our workshops are designed to provide instruction to all ages, genders, and fitness levels. Too often, I've seen people showing different moves that won't work on someone, or won't work if you're, a certain size, or maybe you've got a disability. So we always work with our community to find out how we can best give you the tools to protect yourself. We're community driven. We do our best work with rather than for community by finding out what your safety needs are pre-workshop, rather than providing a one-size-fits-all workshop. I hate when people try to tell you what they think you need. No, we want to ask you, what do you need? And then we're going to provide the best service for you. We are culturally focused. We are proudly Indigenous owned and operated. We are committed to providing a culturally safe environment that respects and prioritizes Indigenous values, teachings, and ways of knowing. We're realistic. We're not going to show you strategies or self-defense maneuvers that we would not feel comfortable using in our own day-to-day lives. Every instructor here has 10 or more years of defensive training from a very wide background. And finally, we believe in sustainable self-defense. So I say learning self-defense is like brushing your teeth. It won't work if you just try it once. We are committed to providing sustainable options and resources to participants who want to continue their pursuit of learning self-defense. So we are not going to come to your community, do it one and done, and then leave. I'm going to find out who else can fill that gap while we're gone. I'm going to find some resources for you. I'm going to source out local gyms. So we're always going to do our best to make sure that you're taken care of even after we leave the community. And we can always come back. So circling back, Serene or Cynthia, maybe you can let me know if there's anything that people suggested that they want to learn today, or if everyone's just really open to learning whatever.
We have a few people. We have some people just interested in learning about self-defense. And a lot of people are kind of sharing where they're from. We have some from Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. Secwepemc territory and the Kwangan territory, Songhees. So yeah, kind of all over, and then all interested in
Yeah.
self-defense.
Oh, Kitsum, Caleb, and Kitsalas. There we go. We are just up there.
Mhm.
Awesome. Beautiful. Well, awesome. Sounds like everyone's really an open book. I see something about more learning body awareness. Yeah, we can definitely cover that today. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So I'd like to ask people again, feel free to add in the chat. What does self-defense look like to you? What comes to mind when you hear the word self-defense? I'm really curious to see what people have to say. And I've added, some photos that seemed like these are the common answers we get. We get the image of some, girl just, beating up some guy with ease. We have someone, using some fancy weapons. We've got this guy who always shows those weird self-defense things on Instagram that never seem to work. So curious what other people think about when they hear self-defense. I'll give you guys like 15 seconds. Monitoring what's going on around me. Okay, nice. Knowing how to protect myself from harm. Needing to carry my keys. Yes. Protecting yourself. Having a protective shell. Yes, your personal bubble. And as a last resort, getting physical. Yes. So I'm liking these answers from this group because too often it seems people always go right to the physical when they think about self-defense. And that's how a lot of self-defense workshops are marketed. So kind of similar, but in line is, does everyone know what is the best form of self-defense? Being aware of your surrounding. Yeah. So I've got like the police, we've got Bruce Lee, Conor McGregor, someone yelling, we got John Wick. These are all things I've literally heard from people before. So see what people say, be aware of your surrounding. Yeah. De-escalate and get out of the situation. Yes. Knowing what to watch for. Not looking like a victim. Awesome. Again, these are very high level answers. I'm used to getting boxing or Superman punch or things like that. So it's really awesome to see spidey senses. We actually have our spidey senses for sure. So the best form of self-defense is learning how to avoid conflict. And it seems like that's kind of a no-brainer, but most people, again, they go right to the physical right away when there's so many steps you can take before you have to get to that. So the way we break down this workshop is into 3 stages. We have preventing conflict, managing conflict, and escaping conflict. So with preventing conflict, we learn things like how to be proactive and prepared, your body language, how to walk like a warrior, and having that situational awareness. With managing conflict, it's about remaining calm and problem solving, using verbal strategies, and also knowing the legal ramifications of what to do if it does escalate. And finally, with escaping conflict, we'll cover some self-defense techniques, things like striking, kicking, knees and elbows, grappling, hair pull break, bear hug break, a technical stand-up, so how to get up safely, which is one of the most important parts of self-defense. If you've been knocked down, how to get up, and life over limb, so how to protect yourself from animals, not just necessarily people, but I always get this when I get out in the community. I said, res dogs are out there. You gotta know what to do. So we're not going to be able to cover all the escaping conflict situations today, but we're going to do the best we can while online. Step 1 is preventing conflict. So usually we'll do this. I'll ask people to kind of demonstrate this. How does a victim walk? And we'll open the chat for that. What are some ways that someone who it looks like a victim would walk? Head down. Yep. Distracted. Small, nervous. Yeah. On our phones. Yeah, the phone, man, that gets us. Yeah.
I think just like even just not paying attention to where you're going. I think sometimes like when you're kind of like just dazed and like
Mm-hmm.
disassociating maybe.
Yeah. Closed up body language, headphones. Yep. I'm liking these answers. So if anyone remembers the movie, I think it's called, was it Inside Out with the yeah. I always go back to Sadness. If you see, remember how Sadness walked. So these are some examples of some submissive body language. So head down, hunched posture, maybe legs crossed or tightly closed, arms or hands in pockets, avoiding eye contact. So this can be just staring into your phone, really like furtive looks. So looking and then looking away quickly. So this is also seen in animals. You know, if you look at the dog park, when dogs are afraid, you know, what happens? They show their belly or their tail goes between their legs, their ears goes down. They start to look very subservient. This can also look like a slow shuffling pace, looking a little bit anxious. If you're speaking, you speak fast, quiet, or in a high tone. And this really implies fear, discomfort, and vulnerability. So what we would do, and what I invite you all to do, maybe at home, this might feel weird or uncomfortable, just try and sit like you look at someone who is submissive or someone who is afraid, and just check your body language and think about what you would do. So for myself, again, I got the head down, my hands would go into my pockets. I notice I make myself smaller when I'm doing that. Yeah. Okay, now shake that off. It doesn't feel good. So on the opposite end of that, how would someone confident walk? And feel free to pop that in the chat.
I would say maybe like your head up, you know?
Yeah. Head up.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Shoulders back. Yep. Broad chest. Scanning the surroundings. Making eye contact. Yep. Walking with purpose. Yeah. No phone. Maybe, you know, if you have it, maybe you could have it on speakerphone or something. Walk tall, smiling. Yeah, absolutely. That could look that having a cheerful energy about you. Awesome. Good answers. So when I hear that, I was going back to the old school Wonder Woman from is it the 60s or the 70s? I remember my dad watched that. We say walk like a warrior. So open your body language. So standing tall with your shoulders back, your head up, your arms at your side, making yourself look bigger. So your eyes are up and you're surveying your surroundings, but direct eye contact is not needed. So we're not trying to be aggressive and really stare someone down, but just showing that you can look around and that you're not afraid. So again, this is seen in animals. When animals are trying to look bigger, you'll notice like their cats, their tails will puff up, or their dogs will raise their hackles. And it's because trying to look bigger, actually, when you take up more space, you actually feel more powerful. Your walk should be a purposeful, prompt walking pace. So even if you're just out for a walk and you're starting to feel nervous, walk like you have somewhere to be. And if somebody really approaches you and tries to talk, you can talk to them, but keep walking. You know, show them like, no, sorry, I got somewhere to be. I don't have time to stop. The research shows you can have a smile or a serious look on the face. Both work, whatever, you know, it feels genuine or comfortable. Speak slowly, loudly, and with a deep tone in your voice. So this for me especially, this can be hard when I get nervous. I notice I talk a little faster. So just if someone approaches you and you're feeling more scared, just really hello, no, thank you. Just having that deep tone and feeling that confident voice. This applies confidence and dominance. So if anyone here has ever heard of power posing too, it's really interesting. So this is something that you can do when you're feeling nervous. And I know it looks cheesy, but that will actually build up some of your confidence. So everybody just take a moment just to power pose. I want to, even if it's just you, that's right, Serene. So head up, shoulders back, just, oh, it literally raises your endorphins and makes you feel stronger. So crazy. Just looking at a little bit of the science behind all this. This. So 70 to 90% of communication is nonverbal. I honestly didn't know before I started teaching this course how much we communicate just with our body language. Predators are attracted to external displays of vulnerability and will often use body language to judge if someone is an easy target. So there was actually a study that was done with a bunch of convicted predators, and they asked them, well, how did you choose your targets? 90% of the time, it was based on body language. They would watch and they'd see someone and they'd say, that person looks like an easy target. That person looks like they're not going to fight back. And the biggest indicator of vulnerability is how they walk, which is really shocking to hear. A confident walk or power posing raises levels of testosterone, which is the dominance hormone, and decreases your cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So just doing that power posing or walking in a confident manner will make you feel more confident and more powerful, and will make other people who are watching you see you as, okay, this person probably isn't someone that will go down easy without a fight. Again, based on a study conducted with convicted offenders, victims of random crimes are often targeted based on their body language, someone who looks like they will be easy to attack. And I just included the pictures of, again, you see that in the animal kingdom when someone looks like they're going to be submissive, or when the animal looks dominant. I've got a little story to tell you guys, actually. So this happened to me 6 weeks ago now. So this is the Niagara Hospital. So I live in St. Catharines, which is right by Niagara Falls. And I hurt my knee and I had to go to the hospital for an MRI. And so this is the hospital right here. This is the emergency room doors. And then you can see like a little black car off to the left. That's actually not my car, but that's where I parked. So I parked pretty close to the doors because my knee was super sore and I had a really bad limp. And it was dark out. It was about 9 o'clock at night because they've got a 24-hour MRI machine. So I pulled up, I went in, I had my MRI, and I started walking back to my car, and I had my bag under one shoulder, and I was just limping pretty hard. It'd been a long day and my knee was really, really sore. And all of a sudden I heard someone walking behind me. And I turned and I looked, and it was a woman. And she said, "Hey, I like your bag." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And as I was kind of walking like around and down, like outside the doors down there by the stairs, and she started walking a little faster, and I could kind of hear her behind me. And she's like, "Oh, where'd you get it?" And I still didn't really see anything wrong because she didn't really look that intimidating. And I'm like, "Oh, like on the internet somewhere." And I kept walking to my car. And then I can hear her walking faster. And I finally just got to my car right there, and I turned around and she was right in front of me. And she says to me, she's like, "Oh, my bag got stolen a few days ago. Are you sure that's not my bag? Can I check?" And I realized all of a sudden, I'm like, this girl's trying to steal my bag. She can see me, she can see the way I'm walking, and she thinks that I'm going to be someone that she can easily take my things. So I just turned around and I literally puffed up my shoulders and I just looked her dead in the eye and I said, "This is my bag. This is not your bag. Please leave me alone." And in my heart, I knew that if she grabbed my bag and ran, I wouldn't have been able to chase her. But I was just holding there, and I had my keys in one hand too. And I just stared. And then she went, "Oh, okay." And she took off. And I just stood there for a second. And I got in my car and I called Keanan and I said, "This just happened. I think this girl," and he's like, "That girl just tried to steal your bag." So even when I was vulnerable, I remembered just to have that posture, have that confidence, and have that low voice and that deep breathing. And I was able to show her, like, "Look, I may be injured, but if you try and take my bag, I'm going to fight you. This is not going to go well for you." And she took off. Would I actually have been able to fight her? Well, probably. I'm an MMA fighter, but would it have gone, if I don't know how it would have gone, right? She might have grabbed my bag and took off, but because I had that confidence and I portrayed that to her, I was able to get away. So, and that just happened 6 weeks ago. And like, there's so many instances of that happening. It's pretty crazy all over the world. And with people I've talked to, just those little interactions. So just to wrap the preventing conflict part up, yeah, shoes you can walk fast or run in. I never wear heels. You can't fight in heels. So if you can, props to you. I'm not the woman who can fight in heels. So some situational awareness. So I had some people talking with Serene. So some people from UBC watching this. So walking home. So talking about situational awareness, remove distractions. So use your senses, scan the environment, stay off your phone. I know it's really tempting just to be kind of looking, but especially at night, especially if you're alone in an unfamiliar place, don't be staring down at your phone. It makes you too easy of a target. If you're walking alone, try to have space around you and scan your vicinity. So if I'm walking somewhere and maybe there's, shrubbery, I don't walk beside it because someone could be in there. I always give myself a little bit of distance between myself and everything else. I don't walk directly behind cars because someone could jump in. I always try and have that, someone called it a protective shell. Yeah, that personal bubble around me so that if anything does come up on me, I can stop them. Be proactive and prepared. So let a friend know where you are. If you're walking to your car, your building, take your keys out of your bag so that when you stop there, you don't have to have that moment where you're going in your bag and you're distracted. I always try and get them out before I start walking. Some people say like you can put the keys through your fingers and use that as like a little like Wolverine key thing. You can and you can't. I've heard both. I've heard both theories around that. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally just like to have my keys in my hand just in case. Just again, something that you don't need to root around in your bag for. Try to appear calm. So even if you're having a bad day or you're upset or even if you're scared, signs of emotional distress are indicators of vulnerability. So if you're looking very upset or you're crying or you're just, you seem out of it, someone will see that and think, okay, they're distracted. And I learned that that's why hospitals are actually one of the number one places where people will try to rob you or break into your car because people are distracted when they go to a hospital. They're not thinking clearly. They're got something on their mind. So oftentimes it's a good time to try to attack someone. Check your entry and exit points. So if I'm going down a street, I kind of look like, okay, if someone did approach me, where could I go to escape? If there are people nearby, sometimes this is a good thing. Sometimes this is a bad thing. So observe the behavior. Do they seem threatening? Do they seem like they might be intoxicated? Do they seem like, just kind of clock them and check them, know whether I should give them a wide berth or whether it's safe to walk near them. Attackers look for the path of least resistance. If you look like you're going to put up a fight, you have a much better chance of avoiding an attack. So thank you so much, everyone. I'm glad you enjoyed that, or hope you enjoyed that part of it. A little bit about body language. So usually what we'll do in our in-person one is we'll get people to walk around and really feel what it feels like to walk like a warrior. So this is something you can do on your own, something that you can practice. Something else I like to do at night is if I'm walking alone, I pretend like I've got two pit bulls with me or something like that. Some people, they think like, oh, like I don't feel like I could attack someone. Like I don't feel like I'm a warrior yet. That's okay. But I try and pretend like maybe you've got something with you. Maybe you've got two big animals, or maybe pretend you've got someone there watching your back. Just having that feel of, yes, I'm not alone. Yes, I'm powerful. Sometimes is enough to just give you that edge. So practice, practice, practice. So we're going to move on to step 2, which is managing conflict. So this is what to do if you've used your body language and maybe someone is still getting in your space, but you don't know if they're threatening or not. People approach people all the time. They might just say like, hey, like, do you have some directions? I'm looking for the bus stop. Or just, they want to say hi, or maybe they're doing a survey. So if somebody approached you and you felt threatened, how would you stand? So I'm curious to see that if people want to put that in the group chat. How would you stand if someone approached you, you felt a little threatened, but you didn't want to look aggressive and escalate the situation? Not turn my back on them? Yeah, exactly.
I feel like not leaning on a certain like stable standing,
Oh yeah, like not leaning on the one side, like yeah. So maybe having a bit more of a posture. Both feet planted, yeah. Shoulders back, I'm sure. Looking up straight, looking at them directly, yeah. Nice, both feet planted. Legs spread out, ready to sprint, yeah. So you guys can't all totally see it, but I'm kind of standing like it right now. So the way I'm standing right now is I have my hand under me and my fist up here. It just kind of looks like I'm like, oh, I'm really interested in what you're saying and I'm listening, right? But this is actually what we call the incognito stance. And it's hard to see right now, but my feet are bladed back and forth. So I've got 1 foot forward and 1 foot back in case someone tries to knock me over. And I've got my fist under my chin and I got my other hand across my body. So again, we call this the incognito stance. So many of you have probably seen like a classic fight stance if you've watched, MMA, the UFC, anything like that. So this is Keanan showing a classic fight stance. Oh, that's because you're ready to punch. Yeah, I'll show you that soon. So a classic fight stance appears pretty aggressive. So you've got 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. This is so that if somebody pushes you, you don't fall back on your bum. You got 1 foot forward, 1 foot back so that you're kind of balanced. If you're left-handed, you actually want to have your right foot forward because you want your power side in the back. So because I'm right-handed, I step with my left foot forward and my right foot in the back. So a fight stance has your hands usually in fist, clenched, up here, elbows in, down, I'm ready to fight. The problem is if somebody generally comes up and they're just asking for directions and you throw up a fight stance right away, now you're the aggressor and now they're feeling threatened and now the situation's getting escalated. So what we like to tell people is try to adopt the incognito stance instead before you get to that fight stance. So the incognito stance looks very similar to the fight stance. You can see this often used by security guards or folks with defensive training. It appears neutral yet interested. So from the waist down, it's the same stance. You got 1 foot forward and 1 foot backwards. They're both kind of slightly angled. But instead of having your hands up, I've got one hand that's wrapped around my stomach like this. And I have my other hand that's just balancing my elbow. And I'm resting my chin on my fist. And I don't even have to, I just have to have it here. And now we're talking. And what this really says is I'm paying attention to you, but I'm not threatening you. And I don't feel threatened. But if it escalates, we're able to do a lot from this stance. So if somebody comes in, if somebody comes in, we can create distance, we can block and protect our head, and we can protect our body. So just bear with me while I adjust the screen. So Keanan's actually going to demonstrate some of the ways that the incognito stance can be moved. So if Keanan tries to get in close to me and we're talking, hey, back off. Right away, that hand that's under my chin can go out to stop him. If Keanan tries to hit me in the head out of nowhere, boom, I'm blocking that punch right away. This is able to protect my head. One more time, we're just talking, all of a sudden, boom. And if some reason he tries to kick me or punch me in the stomach, right there. I've got that hand right there protecting my organs right here. So the punch that most people will throw in a self-defense scenario, people that aren't trained to fight, is that looping overhand that you can see coming from next Tuesday, right? So having that here, that's usually what people will throw is they'll try and throw all their weight on it and lose their balance doing it. So this is probably the best way to have that hand right here to block it. Boom. And then we can add our own things to it. So I'm actually going to show you a small video we call this the back off drill. So I don't know if any of you guys are watching with a partner from home and you guys can watch it together. But you guys can try this with each other. So with the back off drill, this is great because it combines that body language with that verbal strategy. So step one is we tell people create space. So if somebody approaches you and you're not feeling comfortable, you can just kind of move, kind of pro space. Then maybe we're talking and I just got my hand up here. I'm not feeling super comfortable. I'm not feeling threatened yet, but I'm establishing that space between us. If they attempt to approach you, take a step back, extend one arm to maintain space, and using a clear, stern voice, say back off in a stern tone. So we like to say, try to avoid screaming or swearing because again, we don't want to escalate the situation. This could be a simple misunderstanding. I've used this before and the person was like, whoa, okay, sorry. And they left and then that was it, right? We don't have to take it any further. So we also don't want to touch or shove the person unless they move into my space. So just do what is necessary to hold your ground. So if they do not leave, continue calmly, clearly, and loudly telling them to get out of your space. You are making me uncomfortable. Please leave. Do not touch me. Go away. Back off. Clear commands that are easy to understand. If they do not leave and you are alone, do not turn your back on them. You want to back away slowly and find someone you trust. So if you could show the video, Cynthia, let that pop up. I'm just going to show us doing the back off drill with the Chehalis school.
We're going to take 1, 2, 3, back off, okay? So you guys ready? Everyone good? All right, right side's walking forward. And 1. Back off. Oh, 2. 2. And 3. Back off.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So just before we go to step 3, if everybody, I know I can't see you, but if everybody wants to do this with me, if you have a partner, awesome. If not, we can just do this on the computer. Have your partner take 3 slow steps towards you. On that first step, I want to see you take 1 step back. On that second step, I want to see you adopt the incognito pose. And on the third step, I want you to calmly put out your hand and say, back off, to establish that space. So we'll do that a few times together. All right, so starting from here. And 1, adopt that stance. 2, get that incognito hand up. And 3, back off. Nice. And we'll try that one more time. So again, 1, 2, 3, back off. All right. And that's again, something that you can definitely practice at home. Something that happens, again, this happens to me when we get in those situations when we're nervous. A lot of the time when we practice this, we giggle. You know, we think like, oh, we're kind of, because we're having fun, you know, we're saying, hey, back off. But in a real self-defense situation, your voice is going to tremble. You're going to feel scared. You might not be able to find those words. So practice, practice, practice saying that in that loud voice and saying that in that calm, confident voice. Back off. Awesome. I really feel. Oh, I'm glad to hear that, right? And it's like I said, self-defense is a human right. You are not doing anything wrong. If someone is approaching you in your bubble, and even if they go like, whoa, you're overreacting, I didn't want anything. This is best case scenario. Now we don't have a situation. Now you're not feeling threatened and this person has left you alone. So don't be afraid to use your voice and establish that physical distance. So our last part is escaping conflict. So Keanan is going to take over from here and show you some cool things. So if you're at home, I recommend standing up, getting back, getting some space. So we're going to do some live striking. We're going to do some get up drills for the rest of the class. And we're going to do what we can. So 1 second. Serene, maybe if you want to spot. Oh, sorry. Before we get into that, actually, one quick question for the audience. How long does the average self-defense scenario last? I'm curious what people think. Please put that into the group chat. 10 to 15 seconds. That's it. That's how long the average self-defense scenario lasts for. It's over in the blink of the eye. Yeah. So people think that, you know, like, oh, I can't do this. You only have to do this for likely 10 to 15 seconds. And if you go online and you look up, you know, attempted abductions, you'll see people will pull up, they'll try to grab someone, that person will fight for 10 seconds, then the person's back in the van and they're taking off. If these people who are attacking people are not brave people. These are not strong people. These are weak people. These are cowards. These are bullies. If you put up any kind of fight, they don't want it. So whatever you do something is what I tell people. Don't just let it happen. Even if you're afraid, 10 to 15 seconds, just fight, hold your ground, and they will probably leave you alone. I was really shocked when I heard that too, right? You think you're going to have to go and just fight for this long time. You really don't. And then just to chat a little bit about self-defense laws in Canada, because this is something we always get asked. In the criminal code, you are entitled to defend yourself from attack or imminent threat. So you are allowed to use force, but not excessive force. So you can still be charged with assault or manslaughter, even in cases of defending yourself. And that is why I tell people it is important to only use physical force as a last resort if you feel genuinely threatened. Your actions should be limited to what is necessary to protect yourself or protect someone else. I always say that because, especially when we're talking with youth, we say these are not to be used on each other for fun. These are things that could save your life one day and should be used in those life or death situations. So, sorry. Again, so Keanan, I'll let you take it over from here. These are just an example of some of the things that we can show you. But if you want to spotlight Keanan and have him make up the big screen.
Hello, everybody. So I did give a very brief introduction. My name is Keanan Kellar. I'm a pro MMA fighter. I've been fighting for 7 years, and I've been training in martial arts for close to 15. I've also been coaching martial arts for a really long time, and I've been working with Walking Like Warriors for probably the past 3 to 4 years. But with me, we're going to talk about now it's time to fight. We tried to walk confidently. We tried to look proud and strong. That didn't work. We tried to de-escalate the scenario. That didn't work. Now we feel like this person's going to attack us, and we do have to defend ourselves properly. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is just a basic shell, a basic fight stance to keep ourselves protected from punches and kicks. All right. So all that looks like is one foot, our strong foot, being in the back foot. All right, we want 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. We don't want to have ourselves like this. We want that foot out a little bit so we have balance in all directions, forward and backwards. All right, my hands are going to be up by my face. If someone's punching at me, I like to use the secondary knuckles of my fingers. I like to press them right into my forehead here, right? Not down here because I'm still not blocking my entire face. Up above my eyebrows. This is a lot safer. This covers a lot more of my face here. When I'm here in this position, I don't want my wrists and arms being loose and weak. I want to roll my wrists a little bit, and if a strike were to come in, I want to squeeze my arms tight so that the force of the strike goes through my arms and my shoulders instead of hitting me in the head and making my head hurt. All right, so really squeezing the arms. Now we don't want our elbows flared, because we want our elbows protecting our body. So we want our hands up by our head, elbows by our body, and we want to make sure our body is a little bit angled, all right? Just so less of our body is open and showing. So that's a basic fight stance, and that's a basic guard for blocking strikes, all right? Next few things I'm going to talk about is, say, possibly going through incognito fight stance to the back off drill to getting those hands right back up. So all that stuff works together, all right? We felt like the person was possibly going to fight us. We weren't sure, so we went to the incognito fight stance, all right? They got a little too close. They got a little too close for comfort. We went back off, and now we bring both our hands up to our head, and we're defending both sides of our face, and our elbows are defending both sides of our body, all right? So those work very good together. Next little thing I'm going to talk about is some strikes. So we're going to talk about a cross, we're going to talk about an elbow strike, we're going to talk about a push kick, and then after that, we're going to talk about something else, about how to get off the ground properly. All right, so first thing is a cross. A cross is our strong hand on the same side as our back foot. All right, the reason why we want to throw a cross is, again, because someone generally in a street fight will throw a big looping haymaker. Like Alana said, you can see it coming from next Tuesday. All right, those big looping punches take a long time to travel and go around and land. A cross is a better option because it's a straight line, straight forward, straight backwards. It'll hit the target sooner, and it keeps you a lot more safe. All right, so with the cross, exactly what I just did there, we're punching straight from our face in a straight line, forward and straight back to our face. Big issues that we see with this is someone will throw the cross with one hand and drop their other hand, leaving them open on this side. We do not want that. All right, we're punching with the one hand, we're keeping the other hand up by our face, still keeping that side of our head protected. All right. Another issue that we'll see is we'll see the person throw the punch, and instead of bringing the hand back to their face, that hand will go down, and then they're open for a counter on this side. Like I said before, we want to punch in that straight line forward, straight line backwards, straight to our face. These are one of the safest punches to throw, again, because it's nice and clean, nice and fast, and very well protected. Another thing you can do is when you throw that cross, keep that shoulder up. That shoulder's pinching nice and close to my cheek. Anything gets thrown on this side, I'm still protecting my face. I still have my guard up on the other side of my face. All right. One little detail with this cross. May I get you to show the camera at my feet, please? One little detail with this cross. My back foot needs to turn and rotate. All right. That will be huge for getting power in the cross and making sure you keep balance. All right. If that foot stays still and it doesn't move, I can't turn my shoulders and I can't get a very strong punch. But if I turn that foot, it allows me to turn my hips, my core, my upper body. I'm well balanced. I'm able to throw that punch with power. Right? If you want to give this punch a try, I can give you about 10-15 seconds right now. So maybe stand up and throw that punch in the air. Again, we're throwing the strong hand, the same hand you would write with on paper. That hand is up by our face. The same hand as the foot is back. We're throwing that hand nice and straight forward, right back to our face. Straight forward, and right back to our face. Rotating on the back foot, bringing our punching hand back to our face and keeping the hand that's not punching always by our face. All right, so that's one of the most basic punches, but one of the most safest punches to throw. Next thing we're going to talk about is an elbow strike. All right, elbow strikes are great because with a hand, with a bare knuckle, it is very easy to injure your hand. There's lots of little bones in it. An elbow is way more sturdy and way less likely to hurt yourself. All right, but with that being said, an elbow strike, you got to get a fair bit closer to your opponent. All right, with an elbow strike, you just land with that hard bone right at the end of your elbow on your forearm there. That's where we're looking to connect with. All right, our back foot is going to turn and rotate the same way as we threw the cross. All right, the exact same pivot on that back foot. With an elbow strike, it is very key that we keep the other hand up. A cross is a long punch. It can reach pretty far with a cross, but an elbow is short. So although an elbow is good for keeping our hand protected, it does bring us a little bit closer to our opponent. So we may need to make sure that other hand is up and high. When we throw the elbow, we're keeping our hand loose and relaxed. And as we throw the elbow through, we're just thinking about bringing our hand to our opposite shoulder. All right, we're trying to make like a bit of a slicing motion with our elbow and our forearm as we turn it over. Right? If I can get the camera at my feet a little bit, as I was saying before, with my back foot and my right elbow, my foot is turning over and rotating, just so I can turn my shoulders into the strike and so I can keep good balance while I throw the strike. All right. So again, we're rotating on the back foot. We're keeping our elbowing hand open and loose. As we throw the elbow, we're just bringing our hand to our opposite shoulder, keeping our other hand up, and then coming right back to our fight stance. A couple times of this, boom. 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 If you want to give this a little bit of a try for yourself, you're more than welcome to stand up right now. I'll give you 10-15 seconds. I'll do it with you. Throw the elbow strike. Notice how my hands are coming right back to my face, right back to that good shell after I land my elbow strike. All right. So the next strike, the last strike that we're going to talk about is a push kick. All right. A push kick, it's obviously with our legs. The good thing about a push kick, especially with me, is I can push someone from a very far away. Our legs are a lot longer than our arms, so we can reach someone from a further distance. All right. So with the push kick, we're looking to bring our knee up nice and high before we extend our foot out. We're bringing that knee up nice and high. And as we go to push, we're not just snapping our foot out like this. We're pushing over our hips and coming right back to our fight stance. Lifting the knee up nice and high, getting our knee up to our stomach area, and then extending our foot and our hips forward as we land the push kick. This is great. If we don't feel safe with a person, we can give them a nice push away and move back and possibly say, get out of this scenario. All right. So if we want to all give this a try, we're just lifting up our back leg, bringing our knee up nice and high, extending our foot out, and bringing it back to stance. If you feel like you need to grab onto a wall for balance, it is totally okay to give that a try too. All right, bringing the knee up nice and high, extending, and trying to get back to our fight stance right away off of this. This is, again, a very long range strike, so if you feel like you can't reach someone with your hands, this is a good option to go with as well too. Try to keep your hands up while you do it as well. All right, so again, let's give that a try for about 10 or 15 seconds. Bringing that back knee up, extending the hips forward, trying to get right back to our stance off of that. All right.
Strong side. How about those of us with mobility and or knee issues? My strong side, my right side is the knee that's a bit wonky. So that's a really great question. So for myself too, right now I had knee surgery. So I've been going around, I had a big knee brace on, first of all. So that made me a huge target. But so this, again, one of the reasons we show so many different tools is because you don't have to just use this or use this. We say use what you can practice and what you're the most comfortable with. So for right now, if somebody, I'm really using my walk and using my voice right now. If someone did try to attack me, I would really focus on using my punches and my elbows. If you are, your wrong side, my right side is the knee, it's a bit wonky. So in martial arts, if someone is right-handed, we call them orthodox. And if somebody is left-handed, we call them a southpaw. So if you have an injury, like right now, my left knee is sore. So when I'm doing stuff, I'm doing it from a southpaw stance. So I'm switching my stance so that everything I throw, even though it might feel a little weird at first, when I practice it, I can use that strong side. I would say just practice and what you can do. Those punches are going to work. Those elbows are going to feel good for you. And if there is a class nearby, where you live, we can always chat after to see who is available, what kind of gyms are in the area. They can show you ways to move around that.
Yeah, exactly. Depending on the severity of the knee issue, if it's really bad, I would maybe recommend just not throwing a kick. I'd maybe just work with the hands, work with that high shell. But if you feel like you can play around with that knee, the injured knee, I'd recommend being more or less the base knee. Recommend maybe throwing the strong knee as the push kick. But again, that's depending on the severity of the injury and how bad the knee is feeling. The last thing I want to talk about for techniques is something called a technical get-up. All right, so this isn't a strike. This is, say, someone approached you and you were already, say, in the park lying on the ground, or you were in a self-defense scenario and someone knocked you down. So it's very important to know how to get up properly without leaving yourself open for attacks or strangles or something. So this is where a technical get-up would come into play. So I can just get the camera lower to the floor a little bit. All right, so again, say we're just in the park hanging out, whatever, and some menacing human or dog came up to us. We need to know how to get up to our feet without turning our back. Turning our back would be the worst thing. So if someone, say you guys, if you're using the camera, you're the attacker right now. If I got up like this, it's a lot of times in that scenario where you guys could possibly hop on my back, push me over, hit me when I can't see you. So we never want to turn our back when we're getting up. When we're getting up, we want to start in a position where we have one knee up, one leg straight. If my left knee is up, then I'm gonna have my right hand behind me here. Okay? I can even use this other hand for blocking if I feel like I'm gonna get hit. I can even use this other leg to kick if I feel like I need to push someone away and get space. But what we're looking to do, in a sense, with this technical getup, is I'm looking to get my whole body off the ground and be balanced on my hand and my foot. After that motion, I'm just bringing this foot back to my hand, the one that's behind me here. And right away up into my fight stance. That whole time, I never turned my back on my opponent or my attacker. I was able to see everything clearly. And this is the safest way to get up to your feet from being on your back or on your butt. All right. So again, say we're on our back, getting up to our butt, one foot up, opposite foot, opposite hand is back. All right. I can use this hand to block my face. I can use this other leg to kick and create space if I need to. We're just looking to get our weight on our 2 points of contact, getting our foot back and getting up to our feet. Now we're in our fight stance and we can fight back. All right. So this one is very important. I know it's not a strike, but it's very important to know how to get up if we were ever knocked down or if we just started on the ground in the first place. So if everyone wants to take about 20 seconds to give a couple of these a try, I recommend doing it. All right. So again, opposite foot, opposite hand. My hand could be blocking. My other hand could be blocking. My leg that's straight could be kicking to create space. And when I'm ready, I'm just getting all my weight off the ground, all my weight's on my right hand and my left foot. Bring my foot back, and I'm up and constantly facing my opponent, and I can go into my attacks from there. All right. So that would be the safest and easiest way to get up to our feet without leaving ourselves open for attacks. All right. Again, that's known as a technical get up. And with that, do we have any questions about anything that I taught? I can maybe go over another thing that someone wants to ask a question about.
Yeah, so the UBC Learning that corgi looks menacing. Yes. Oh, she is. UBC Learning Circle has recorded this and it will be uploaded. So if anybody wants to watch this again, go for it. So we'll bring back this. And again, thank you so much, everyone. So usually when we come into community, we bring our kick shields, we bring our pads, so people can try, the kids can try hitting it. People can actually try throwing these strikes on some pads. We'll critique your technique. We'll show you some more stuff. We'll show you how to break grips. There's so much we can show you. Just ask. So that really brings us to the end of our 3 main things today. I would love to hear from all of you in the chat group about what is one thing that you learned today, or what was your favorite part of today. So this is always really great feedback for us. And we do, if anyone is interested in bringing us into the community, we would absolutely love to. We like to always travel. We like to show new things. It's so much fun for us. It's more than a job, really. It's really a passion project. Incognito stands, mindset and prep. Knowing you guys have this in the background of your mind. Oh, Sherry, love to come. Awesome. Getting up from the ground. Yeah, it's so important. A lot of places don't cover that. The demonstrations, right? Getting up. It's such an important thing, right? Because it's so often we get pushed to the ground and we always get up like we're turning around, right? And that's the most dangerous way. Walking with confidence and purpose. Yeah, it seems like such a small thing, but it's so important. We don't have a YouTube channel yet. We mostly do stuff in person, but that is coming for sure. That's we got big plans for this. Learning where to put your head and voice and forearms firm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. So our website, we have a gym close by for East Vancouver and Hazelton's, Northern BC. Oh yeah, we definitely do. So yeah. So our website is www.walkinglikewarriors.com. We just launched it, so we're still working on it right now, but it looks pretty snazzy. You can send us some, if you just want to know about gyms in your area, we're happy to give recommendations. If you want to talk about bringing us in, shoot us a message. Our email is walkinglikewarrior@gmail.com. And we do have Instagram. Our social media is just Walking Like Warriors. And yeah, please let us know if you have any questions now that we are at the end of our time. Thank you all so much for being here today. This was so wonderful.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, our first online one. We weren't sure how it was going to go, but I think everything was able to translate pretty well, which is really cool to see. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys did so great. I learned a lot. I know I have like a sore shoulder, so I liked how someone asked which stance to do if, because my dominant hand is my right hand, but my sore shoulder is on the right side. So it was good to learn about to switching it up because I'm like, I can't punch with this arm. So that was nice.
You're a southpaw right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds so cool when you say like, I'm a southpaw. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really cool, and I liked learning how to get up properly. Because I feel like I would probably do the other way. Like,
It's basically nature to stand up and turn your back. Yeah. Put both
yeah,
hands on the
yeah.
ground. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like I learned a lot, and I'm definitely, when I had my camera off, I was practicing and doing it, and yes. So if anyone wants to bring you guys into your their community, I highly recommend it. You guys are amazing, and yeah, I think we have a couple questions here. Could you tell us a little bit more about like hair grabbing? Like, do you have any recommendations?
Yeah, I think we can actually show that to you guys right now if you like. So do you want to? Yeah.
I'll grab your hair.
Sure. Yeah, we'll stand up. So so this is the main one that I like to teach too. So if somebody grabs your hair, they probably won't like my hair is pretty long. So if they grab the ponytail or if they grab the top of the head, you kind of want to do the same thing. What you want to do is instead of trying to run away, you actually want to take both your hands and you want to grab the top of their hand and grab their hand really hard. And you want to squat your weight down. And then you want to turn into them. So ideally, you want to turn pinky side in because then it makes their arm do that kind of wonky thing and that'll hurt them. But even if you turn thumb side in, you kind of forget, at least you're still peeling it off. Two hands are usually, unless like your attacker is like huge, which might happen, but most of the time, two hands are better than one. So again, one, you want to use both their arms. We're grabbing his hand hard. We're dropping our weight down to our butts, and then we're turning like that. And then from there, we can run away, we can strike, we can do whatever. Hope that helps.
Yes, that does answer our question. And our next question is, what would you recommend the best self-defense to be if someone is trying to grab your bag?
Someone's trying to grab your back. Best self-defense.
Sorry, your back or your bag?
A bag, sorry.
A bag. All right.
Yeah.
Are we talking like a purse or a backpack? What are we thinking here?
Maybe both, like.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Yes. Where's my bag?
Yeah. Just pretend. Yeah. Use that.
Yeah.
So if someone were to try to grab my backpack, I would recommend trying to cut my elbow in between the two of them. All right. So again, just cutting my elbow between the two. All right. Just turning that in. You can even use that as maybe an elbow strike to elbow the arm. But just cutting that in and getting yourself back to facing them. If you have a backpack on, they're not just going to be able to rip that off easily. They're not just going to be able to pull that off of you. So you are going to have to do something to break their grips and turn back into them. For a handbag, well, I would say just punch them. They're going to have both hands on that bag to be able to get your hand or get it out of your hands. That's leaving them wide open and maybe after that, they may let go. All right. But again, someone's not going to just grab with one hand. They're going to try to force that thing out with both hands, leaving them wide open for a counter shot. And then you get your bag back when they're hurt. I would maybe recommend something along those lines.
Although I would say too, again, if this person's really determined and you're hitting them and they're just taking it, life over limb, right? Like it's a bag. So like, unfortunately, like if that person who tried to steal my bag, again, I I adopted that strong attitude, but I kind of knew too, like if she grabbed it and ran, I wouldn't have been able to chase her. And then that's just unfortunately would have been a loss because you don't want to chase that person down an alley and then maybe they have people waiting and then they're all going to beat you up, right? So I think Keenan's even got a story where he was in Prince Rupert and he had a gang of people attack him. And yeah, do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I was younger. I was, I think, 17 at the time. I'm from Terrace, BC. So me and my friends went to Prince Rupert just for a day trip. And I remember we were in a store and I forgot my wallet in my car. So I went out by myself. I had my 4 friends in the store. I had to walk through like a little back alleyway to get to my car. And in that time when I was walking down the alleyway, 4 kids approached me and I could tell they were glaring at me from the other side of the alley. And once we got close, they asked for my stuff. I said no. Then they all started attacking me. That's not really a win-win scenario when it's 1 against 4. So in that occasion, I just went down on my hands and knees. I covered my head and I flipped my only thing in my pocket out of my pocket, which was my car keys. And fortunately, they didn't want those for whatever reason. So they just carried on after they beat me up a little bit. But I protected my head. My head didn't take any hard shots. And I showed them what I had on me, which was at the moment absolutely nothing. And yeah, I was pretty safe because of it. They only got me a couple times, and once they realized I had nothing worth stealing, they left. They didn't want my Toyota 1992 Corolla, I guess.
And yeah, like this is kind of like the obviously the downside. Like we want to share like all these wonderful stories where like we, you fought off the assailant and you got away. But sometimes if someone has a weapon or if there is there's more than you, I would say comply. I would say try and run away. And if you can, and if they try and ask for your stuff, it's not worth your life. It's not worth trying to fight them and getting hurt. In that instance, yeah.
Like especially if it was like a knife or something like that. Even if you go to a Krav Maga, that's where they teach knife fighting defense and how to fight with knives. Generally, if you go to a good Krav Maga teacher, the first thing they'll tell you is if you are in a self-defense scenario where someone pulls a knife on you, just run. All the stuff they teach in Krav Maga is like you have your back against the wall. Now you have to use that sort of defense. But if someone pulls a knife on you, just run and get out of there. Same for multiple assailants. Like it's very, very rare you're gonna win in a 2-on-1, 3-on-1, 4-on-1 scenario. So in those type of scenarios, if you have the option to run, do it. If you don't, just comply. Maybe if they had like a bat or a dull weapon and you felt like you could take them, get as close as you can to them so they can't strike you with that weapon. With a bat, they're not going to be able to get much force if you're chest to chest or back to back or something like that. But if you give them space, that's when they can get some good force and wow.
And that's close. Why we also teach the elbow, because that's a really good one for if somebody gets in close to you. So like in my example too, where the girl, I turned around and she was right face to face with me. I wouldn't have been able to really punch if she'd attacked me. I would have tried to go for like a quick elbow or something, because that's kind of a closer fighting one. Yeah.
And we just have one more question here. Could you guys cover like letting us know what the best case scenario is if a dog or an animal like got your leg or something, or even your arm, like.
So I actually have a story around that too. When I
Paris is rough.
Yeah. When I was either 12 or 13, I can't remember, one of those 2 ages. I was walking along a trail, and there's a bunch of like houses off to the right of the trail, and then there's forest off to the left of the trail. The houses didn't have any fences, so the yards were wide open, and I guess someone decided that their big old aggressive Rottweiler could just run freely on that yard. I was walking the trail, and the Rottweiler attacked me, and it got a hold of my pant leg. Fortunately, just the pant leg. It didn't actually get my calf or anything like that. It's pulled my feet right out from underneath me. Again, I was young. I was 12 to 13, maybe like 120 pounds. And in that scenario, I had to find whatever I had around me, which happened to be a rock, and had to smack that Rottweiler over the head a couple times with that rock, which was not fun. I love animals. It was not fun for me, but yeah, you just got to use your surroundings to the best of your abilities. I found a rock. I hit it a couple times with the rock, It hurt the dog enough for it to let go, and then it ran away and left me alone. And after that, I got on my feet and made sure I can keep my eye on the dog the whole time until I was out of the area. Yeah, just use whatever you can around you against an animal attack.
And for especially like my grandparents live on the Okanagan Reserve, and there's sometimes like there's a lot of wild dogs out there. One thing is honestly that body language is something that I would really keep if like I was out growing up with my cousins and we'd be playing and we'd see some of the dogs just really kind of being like, go away, go home. Like it works on dogs too. Works on animals, just appearing big, appearing strong. And then what I was always taught to is you don't want to grab, even if a dog's got a collar, you don't want to reach your hands in because they can bite you really easy. So what you want to do is you want to get your feet in. I would say would be the best way is just kicking at them, because even if they bite you, they'll bite your shoe. That's better than them biting your hand. So for animals, the walking like warriors, the walking tall, the holding your ground, having that deep voice, especially with animals, I find like a deep voice. Like don't scream at the animal. I always say like go home, like have that nice deep voice. And then strikes with your leg. Or if you have like my mom, when she goes running, she like has a little wrench that she carries with her just in case. So just kind of having something blunt too. Obviously, worst case scenario, we don't want to be, like hitting anybody or attacking anybody or anything. But if you have to, do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our last question. Do you guys have any closing remarks for everyone?
I hope we were able to show something new to you guys, and that will help you in the long run. Hopefully you don't have to use any of these techniques we showed today, but if you do, at least you now have some options for yourself.
Yeah, and just the thing I always like, one of my favorite things to tell people is, especially seeing it in person, is when I tell people about that 10 to 15 seconds. I notice like people will see this stuff and then they always think that they can't do it. They go like, oh, I could never do that. And I say, like, you can do anything for 10 to 15 seconds, like you could do this, just be strong, use your voice. It really works. Like I remember I used to live in Vancouver and I'd have to go walking down Hastings and I hated it, but like I'd always just try and put on that walk. And that was something that made me feel a lot more confident. And even if no one approached me, I felt better about that walk. Yeah, we love working with youth. We love working with women. We love working with everybody. How can we get a t-shirt? well, we're working on that one too. Baby steps. We can probably get an order on our website soon, or if we come to community, we'll bring you some t-shirts for sure. Yeah, thank you all so much. This was a lot of fun, and yeah, I hope to meet some of you soon. Thank you so much, Serene, for having us out, and Cynthia and UBC Learning Circle. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Yeah, it was so great to have all you guys join on the Learning Circle, and thank you so much, Alana and Keanan, for the amazing discussion and also just teaching us about different self-defense like tactics and whatnot to help keep yourself safe. And I learned a lot, and it was really cool to hear even just some real life stories of how you guys used them. So thank you so much. And yeah, just before we end the webinar, we'd love to bring your attention to our upcoming UBC webinars. We have Unseated and Undefeated. That one's on April 16th. That's also with Alana. And so if you guys wanted to learn more about her story, that will be there. And then we also have Trauma-Informed Healing Centered Community Wellness. That is on April 17th. And yes, so you can sign up for our the webinars at www.learningscircle.ubc.ca, and our newsletter will be in the link in the chat if you guys want to subscribe. And thank you everyone for joining us. We look forward to seeing everyone at our next Learning Circle. Lim, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.